Alright, gang, let's have a diehard Giants fan play Armchair GM to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be a quick video because I don't like the Eagles. They went 4-11-1 last season, which I don't think reflects how good the team is because they just got hit really hard by injuries, and their quarterback situation was up in the air. The offense was ranked 24th in the league, 28th in the pass, but 9th in the rush, which leads you to believe that the quarterback situation is the problem. Jalen Hurts only started 3 games. He accounted for 320 of those rushing yards. They had 15 fumbles off of that run game, which needs to be cleaned up. But running the ball, not a problem. Their defense, 19th in the league, 15th against the pass, 23rd against the run. So that should tell you what needs to be addressed going into the next season. Look at the coaching staff. The GM, Howie Roseman, has been there a very long time, 20 years. And he's still a young man. He's only 45, so he started when he was 25. And he's worked in various capacities, been on-again, off-again GM for, I guess, since 2010. And he took them to the NFC's title when the NFC East was a lot better in 2010. And he did that by going young, building the roster young. And I think that's basically what they're going to do going into this season. First-year head coach, Nick Sirianni. He was the Colts offensive coordinator. He goes back to Frank Reich in San Diego. So I think he'll be good for a young quarterback just based on that. Brand new offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen. Don't know much about him other than he was the Chargers offensive coordinator. And they had a very promising young quarterback in San Diego. So this, on paper, this looks good. Defensive coordinator, not too familiar with Jonathan Gannon. He was the Colts secondary coach. Colts secondary was very good. So he reunites with Sirianni. They all kind of know each other. They're all first year, and they all have the history together and have a good pedigree, all in all. So it's promising. Cap space is an issue for this team. They are over $50 million over the cap. Even with the league upping the cap, they're still way over, just about $50 million. So the first thing they need to do, in my opinion, is restructure a couple of contracts. Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, restructure them because you want to keep them. Cutting them doesn't do any good because their money is guaranteed, so you wouldn't save any money. They're already going to eat over $30 million with Carson Wentz. He just got traded. We'll talk about that in a second. The cuts they need to make. They just cut Deshaun Jackson today. Of course, he needed to be cut, and it's just a business decision. Alshon Jeffrey probably needs to be cut. Malik Jackson probably is just going to be a cap casualty. And Zach Ertz, who's a little disgruntled, they're probably going to cut him. Derek Barnett, they are probably going to have to give him a longer contract because if they just pick up his 5th year, it's just going to cost him too much money. Probably want to spread that out. I don't think they want to cut him. He was a first-round pick. Jason Peters, they're probably just going to let him walk. Jason Kelsey is older. I think he's a little disgruntled from last year. That last game of the season left a bad taste on a lot of the veterans' mouths. What do you got? Brooks on that line is a little older. Probably going to walk away from him, in my opinion. You got a couple of young guys on that line that are worth developing. I'm going to do some things in the draft. What does this team need? I think their biggest need, even though they couldn't stop the run, I still think their biggest need is probably at cornerback. You still have Darius Slay, obviously, who's still going to be good and a contributor to that team. He's 30 years old. Not going to be there forever. I don't like their other cornerbacks. So I think they might address that in the draft. Offensive line is definitely a big need. They could not protect Carson Wentz. They're going to have to get a little younger there at center, I think, and guard. We will address that. And defensive tackle, obviously, defensive lineman, we will address because they could not stop the run. And to that end, you're going to have to address linebacker. But let's look at the free agents they have before we look at signing anyone. Jason Peters, again, I think they're going to let him walk. They had to kick him into guard because of the injuries and then back out to left tackle because of injuries. Andre Dillard was their first-round pick. He was injured, so he's going to come back healthy, you would think. So I think they're going to let Peters walk. Travis Fulgham, they're probably going to want to re-sign him, and I think they can get a team-friendly deal. They have really good young receivers that came out of nowhere. They drafted Deontay Burnett out of USC. I think he's really good. Let him play some more. Greg Ward, they got that Quiz Watkins is really good. Give them a chance. Jalen Mills, I think they need to re-sign him. I think ultimately they could move him to cornerback and take over for Roby Coleman, who they should probably let walk. I don't think they can afford him. They have that young Marcus Epps who stepped in from out of nowhere, and I think he played great. He could probably take over at strong safety. Kayvon Wallace can probably take over at free safety for McLeod, or at least get him ready to play free safety. Boston Scott is a free agent. I'm sure they want to keep him. They could probably address that in the draft. Corey Clement is also a free agent. I think they'll let him walk. But Boston Scott, he works on this team. So if they can get a team-friendly deal, he's worth trying to work a contract out. Roby Coleman, I think, again, is just going to walk. Their other cornerback, that LeBlanc, they could live without. I think we can do better. Duke Raleigh at linebacker, try and sign him if you can get a team-friendly deal. And Hassan Ridgeway, interior defensive lineman, too many injuries. He might be cheap because of that. He's got a history with the Colts and Sirianni, so maybe if he can get a really good deal, just have an extra body there. Otherwise, we're going to address that. Defensive line we'll probably address in the draft. The free agents to go after, I'd like to see them go after Malik Hooker. Speaking of those Colts ties and injuries, they might get him for a good deal because of that. Probably a one-year prove-it deal. I think maybe the Eagles thought about drafting him. And yeah, those ties to the Colts with Jonathan Gannon as their secondary coach. Gary and Conley, I'd like to see them go after, cornerback. And they probably would have drafted him, but he had those off-field allegations. And he was never a Gruden guy. That's why I don't think he succeeded with the Raiders. He played great with Houston this year, so I think he still has a lot to show that he is a first-round talent. Another free agent, I think Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback to bring in to back up Jalen Hurts. I think he has a similar skill set. He has history with these coaches from San Diego. And I think he'll be a mentor to Jalen Hurts. This nonsense about them drafting a quarterback, I think, is PFF propaganda. I'm not even going to spend too much time on that. I think it's ridiculous to draft a quarterback this early anyway. Any other free agents? They can't afford Levante David, and he's 31 years old. I think they want to go younger. I thought about Leonard Floyd, who's 28 years old. Probably can't afford him either. I think he's going to want a lot of money. But Morgan Fox from Los Angeles, I think they should go after this guy. He was an undrafted free agent. Not making a lot of money. Made under $1 million this year. He'll look to get more because he played very well. But that's someone they can go after to try and get after the quarterback. Their draft picks. Let's see. They have the 6th, obviously. They're not going to use that on a quarterback. They just can't. They have the 37th, which is good. The 70th and the 85th they just got from the Colts. If they did not get this pick, then I would have suggested trading back that 6th pick to a team that wants to get their quarterback, and to really pick up some more picks in the 4th, 5th, 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, because it's really the heart of this draft. There's so much talent there that otherwise they would have missed out of, because they would have gone to 70 to 151. There's too much talent in there to miss out on. And that's what this draft here. You can see the talent they could get. Jalen Waddle with their first pick, I think, would be great for them. They still need a dynamic weapon. They could go Kyle Pitts, and that's a dynamic weapon, or any of those top 3 wide receivers, Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. 2nd round, someone like Sam Cosmi will be there, a standout left tackle, replace Peters. With the Colts pick, defensive line, Davian Nixon, they'll be lucky if I think he will be there actually, or one of the other top defensive linemen, help stop that run. Creed Humphrey at center to replace Jason Kelsey, or play guard until Kelsey is ready to step aside. You have a legitimate center who played 4 years in college at a high level. Chris Rumpf, one of the best pass rushers, I think, in this draft. He's predicted to go around here. Israel Mukuamu, 6'4" cornerback. CJ Verdell. I actually wanted to give them Puka Williams here, someone just smaller, really fast, to maybe replace Boston Scott if they can't work out a deal. Taquan Graham, great run stopper, kind of projected around here from Texas. And Tuff Borland at linebacker, just to add another linebacker in depth. Also around here, they're going to get a couple of compensatory picks. We're just not exactly sure exactly where. But they can have an excellent draft, add a couple pieces in free agency, and give this young coaching staff a shot. Future is looking okay for these Eagles. They got a lot of making up to do. Let's just say that.
Hey, Jalen, you said you're a competitor and you play to win. What kind of message does it send then when in a 3-point game, the starting quarterback gets pulled?
Can you repeat your question?